Una welcome back. Make we see how loops they work for JavaScript and for any programming language we get loops. Before we start, I just want to thank all of una. We don't subscribe, we don't like, we don't share my content. I really appreciate you now. You guys are the best. And again, we don't get our own community for Telegram. We can join our Telegram community. For that community, we're going to share ideas, we're going to share jobs, we're going to share clients, we're going to share all those kind of things we're going to share for that community. So now make we see how loop they work for JavaScript. So if we see this my code editor, you go to say I don't list out some kind of loops for now. We get for loops and for in, for of. This are newer types of loops where we get for JavaScript. And then we also get this while loop and a do while loop. So make we see example of the for loop. The for loop, you know, say now way for us to repeat code any amount of times. So for example, we say if we get an array, so we just create an array, make we call it my as always, my array, and make we assign them this my array to an array. Now this array, make we add names for here. For example, if you just say we want to add cars, so if you just say car where we define Benz, right? Number one. Then we go say the second car where we define make we say BMW. So I go say BMW. And the other car where we define Toyota. So we just say Toyota. Now this Benz, BMW, and Toyota array where we get for here. Now just simple 3-item array, right? But what if the array get plenty? How we want to get all the items and say something with this array or use this array? So in the reward, for the reward, if we get something like this, we go like make we work with this array with a for loop. So one way we say we fit access this array. Now say we go just write a for statement. So we'll say for, and then just like a function, we'll do our parentheses and we'll do our curly brace. Now inside this for, now here we go to write what we want. So normally you go need an iterator or a counter for any loop. Like loop, we're going to help us the counter now like something we're going to help us to check if now one index 1 we day or index 2 or index 3. Since we did the index, we could just say let. Some people too, you go to see some code where they derive var. You read? So you could just say let for our own. Then go say let I. Make we assign them to 0. And this 0, don't forget close your code after the 0. Because this I, we just assign them to 0 as a counter. Then go say make I, if I day less than my array dot length, which go be 3, right? So if 0 day less than 3, then one close down, we want to add something to I, which now I plus plus, or we want to add 1 to I, which now I plus plus. Remember? Then we go inside our block now. So for inside this our block, now here we want to write the statement where we want. So which statement where we want now? Simple console log. So we could just say console log. Make this template literal for here. So we'll say hello. And then we go just do our $sign and curly brace for there. Then we go write I. So this now the index where we define. So index 0, now this one, index 1, now this one, index 2, now Toyota. So how we go take access for this our array? We go say hello. If we want access this our array, we go come say hello Maya. And then using bracket notation, we can say we define the index, that's not the I, where we just put this will be I, this will be counter, this will be any word we want. But now because of this index where we pass in, so when you pass this loop first, you go there on index 1, you go run this on index 0, you go run this Benz. So you go say hello Benz, you go run again. When you run again, you go see say because I did less than the length of this array, I go to increase, you go to help us run based on the length of the array where we check for here. So when you see say that condition they true, you go add 1 to RAM and then you go loop again. Hello BMW. You understand? Now that time the thing go to write hello Benz, hello BMW, hello Toyota. That's how for loop they work. Simple. So make we look another loop where we do. Make we say we want to do the while loop and the do while loop. So make I just comment this out. So as we don't comment them out, make we write the while loop. So what will be the while loop? The while loop now just wait for us to iterate over a code, to the loop over code while a condition they true. Once it they true, the while loop it go they always they run. Even the do while loop they very similar to the while loop. The only difference be say it go they do one code before it go come they even check if the condition they true. So make we see both of them first. So we'll say the second one where we define now the while loop. Now, this while loop, just like before, we go do our parentheses, we go do our curly brace, right? Now, for inside here, this is our parentheses. Now, here we go come write our condition. So what will happen is say, make we just create a variable for here, and then we go just say let I equals to 0. So we go say, for inside this our while statement, we go say while I is less than, make we say 5, we want console log a message. So we just console log I. But if we run that like this, the code no go work. Why? Because we go need to add our iterator just like we did for here, our +1. So make we say I plus, just like before. And if we save am, you go see say now whenever we run this code, it go dey loop 1, 2, 3, 4. You understand? You fit also use am check for the length based on the length of this our array, which are 3, right? You fit use am check for that. So make we try see how we fit even write that exact same code just like we did just now. So we go say based on my r, and we define the length, right? So we go say length, just like before. And then for inside here, we go come say, now we don't want just console log 0, 1, 2, 3. We want console log hello. Again, just like before, we go say we want the $ curly brace, and inside there, we go come pass my r or my array, and this my array, we will come say we want to use the bracket notation to the access each index for this array or each item for inside the array. So because of that, we dey run this loop just like we take even run this for loop for here. So if I add another variable now, self, and say, if I add Honda for there, press save, you go see say e don dey tell us hello Honda for here. If I reduce am, you go see say they tell us Honda. So make I comot this one because my code editor I'll make una dey see the code where. So we'll leave am there for Toyota. Now make we see the do while loop. So the do while loop, I tell you say it is similar to the while loop, right? This do while loop, it is similar. The only thing we say, it go first execute one code first before the other code. Make we comment this while loop out first. We go say we want do, and then we go drop our blocks for them. We'll do something while a condition dey true. So we go say while, make it do something for us. So make it close down there, and then make we see which condition we define. So which condition we define now? I. So if I dey less than 4, then this code go dey run. Now the do wey we want do, we say which code we want do. Well, what we want do, we say we want to increase them. So we go say make I plus plus. So I go to increase, I go to increase, I go to increase. Make we go above that I plus plus. Then make we just say we want the console log something. So we'll say console.log, and then make we use template literal again. Then make we say hello, and then we go say $ braces, and inside here we go say my array, just like we did before. So we go say my array, and this my array, we go use bracket notation. We go come access the pikin of our, which are the I. So the whatever the index be at that time, it go to give us that code where we dey find. So if you see say now we get all the values where we define for this our array. So we get hello Benz, hello Toyota, hello BMW, but we get this undefined here simply because our array no reach up to 4. But if I leave them for 3, or I check them based on the array, so make we do that. So make we change this 4 to my array. Then we go just say we want the length of the array. So now that undefined way we get that variable when no dey defined, it don't come up for there, because any amount of items where they this our array, it go dey work for us nice. So we can comment this do while loop out, which they very similar to the while loop. The for in, if they do wetin they do be say the for in, it dey help us dey loop through over the properties of an object, and then inside the properties, it go come do something for us. And the for of, it dey help us dey loop over an iterable object. Meaning say an iterable object now like string, now like an array, all those kind of things. And even node list. Node list now like DOM elements and all those things. It dey even loop over them. So what can we do the for in loop for here? Now how will they do the for in loop? Now very simple thing. So we can just say for, and then make we write our parentheses and our curly brace. Now, for inside the parentheses, we want to say let x of our array where we define. So we could just say my array, and then we could just say for of that array, we want console log x. And if this is say we get every item inside our array. So now we will just write a string just like before. So we go do backticks. So we go say hello, and then we go do $, and we go write our x for there. So now we get hello Benz, hello BMW, hello Toyota, just like before. So make we do again the same for the for of loop. I go just duplicate them. A for in, sorry. And this for in, you dey see say it dey act differently now. The for in, even though we just change the in you see say e don dey show us 0, 1, 2, 3. That na because if we look for the definition for here, the for in dey look up, e dey loop through the properties of the object, meaning say na the index for this case of an array e dey loop over. So we get the index of 0, of 1, of 2. So to access this one now, because we dey use the for in loop, we will come say my array, and then using the bracket notation, we go come pass x there, and it will give us the exact same thing because we dey use the for in loop for JavaScript. So always dey cautious of how you dey use your for of and your for in, because you go dey get sometimes wey be say you go dey make that mistake, dey use the for of instead of you using the for in, or you go dey use the for in loop instead of make you dey use the for of loop. But for now, that's all we need to learn. I will see you now for the next video. Thank you.